For the next steps we are going to need more minerals. Single block miners are too much of an hassle and we can't wait for God to gift us more transceivers, so we will have to ask AE2. We also need some more preparations. And off we go. Next we shall fix some issues with the oldest line layout. GTNH pipes did the trick. We will also need an assembly line capable of handling more complex recipes. We can do that using Steve's Factory Manager mod. For example, in the normalus line, we can't have recipes that have the same item spread across multiples buses, like the heavy-duty plates. Moving on, we also have to worry about lutetium. We are not making enough of it. The main issue is cooling down the water, so let's craft some more turbines. And we don't have to forget to order a new rocket. While AE2 is busy, I think it's a good time for us to touch some grass. In LUV style. So, let's make some genetically modified plants. And here we go, a nice plant. In the meanwhile, we also have increased the UU matter and the lutetium production. We have 32 fluid reactor fueling a GT++ boiler feeding 4 XL turbines. And I have lost count of the amount of miners we have. Next we are going to do a little bit more of the MOS line, so that we can have some cerium. We need it for the weird alloy, needed for the precision assembler, needed for the neutron activator, needed for the Nakada line, needed for stuff that we will find out. We also need some lithium chloride, which apparently can only be made by this recipe. So, time for some manual LUV work. First we locate some mineral using the LUV tools. Next we gather the material. We process it. And, finally, we void it. That way, we can feel the frustration needed to take a break from that game. But don't worry, we will probably get back to it in a few hours. Welcome back. As you can see, we are low on energy, so let's use this time to see what happened during the break. We have managed to make 2 precision assemblers and a fusion reactor. We have also made some improvements here and there. Now we just complete the monazite and Naquadda line. Okay, now I think we should make a couple more of fusion reactors MK1 before moving on. One will be dedicated for an early fusion energy production and one to double the processing speed of AE2. And here we go. This is just a small plant just for sustaining us while we will be working at the bigger versions. As you can see, we have now doubled our power production. You might be wondering what we are going to use all of that power for, but I think the answer is obvious. Cobblestone. A lot of cobblestone. And I think we should do some cable management now. Like that. I wish we could have used lasers since they sound cool, but we cannot craft them yet. We have now a better farm and the old one is only 18 TPS. I think it's time to get rid of it. You served us really well, old friend, but it's time to say goodbye. Let's do it a bit in vanilla 5 years old style and a bit in Tech It classic style. Next we upgrade the EBFs a little bit more, so that we can run out of power again. If we do not want to give up our cobblestone production, we must increase our power production. Right now, the best way is to step up our fusion game. Let's craft a couple of Mark II reactors. By the way, this is our nether star setup. And here we farm shrooms, to keep ourselves high. I mean, high on this. Anyways, this is for crafting. And this for power production. Do you guys know what access to Fusion Tier 2 means? Correct, many things, and the one you thought is probably in the list. Let's start by using one of our many assembly lines to craft a good armor, since there are a few bugs and we won't be using many times this recipe. This time, we can craft it by hand. We have to manually place each ingredient inside each box in the correct order. Let's do it. And, after fixing some charge issues, we finally can fly fast. By the way, we now even have one of these cool advanced assembly lines which can even turn orange. They now do look like proper traffic lights. And, after cooking some neutronium, we finally unlocked the UVH. Now we rush a UV assembler, and, finally, we have access to a proper way of transporting energy. Nothing can stop us now. Just look at how cool they look and think about how much power they carry. Now, as they say, from great power comes great responsibility, so let's gather some materials for the next upgrade of our fusion plant. And this is the best we can do right now. We should probably look into tin plasma though. Anyways, as you can see from the screen behind me, this is barely enough to make our energy meter measure something. This is not good at all. We need more power. The best route right now is probably to step further up our fusion tier to unlock better recipes. However, we, miserable carbon-based life forms, can't manage that. We need the help of silicon-based life forms. And the only one who can help us create life is God. We first have to take some bacteria and seal it inside a petri dish. Next we start multiplying this culture into a bacterial vat. We must be careful and not let this stuff escape the vat. And we shall not eat it. I know that this stuff looks appealing, but just don't eat it. We have to let the population in the vat be always at half of the vat space, to maximize its reproduction. And finally, we can use this stuff to make some growth medium for our stem cells. Now we just have to do questionable things to these poor cells until we get a wetware processor. However, a single processor won't be enough. We have to merge many of them to form a single mainframe. However, to connect wires and neurons, we need first to do some more research, and apparently, our scanners won't cut it. We have to build a full-fledged research station capable of using the computation power from a quantum computer. And this is the complete setup. We have made a 12 racks computer for a total of 420 computation to keep the research time short. We make certain the cat is okay so that the computer is certain. We place a data stick and the object we want to study in the research station. Next we turn on the computer. We have to be careful at how much power it drains and how much it heats up. And finally we start researching. And here we have our results. We must always remember to turn off the PC or we will have a high bill to pay. Now we move to the production facility and put the data in the assembly line. And finally, we ask AE2 to start it. Next we shall go to new weird planets, visit their oceans and collect some weeds. And do some biological experiments on them to extrapolate extraterrestrial bacteria. Next we shall realize that in all of that time, our mega blast furnace has polluted our world a little bit too much. We fought some weird bosses. We increased our power production. We automated some extreme craftings. and crafted an extreme rocket. We fixed the pollution issues by upgrading our mufflers and upgraded the rating of our blast furnace. We made a few more fusion reactors and started using our TNT stockpile. We maxed out our power substation. And completed our extreme rocket. We built a PCB factory. And we looked up on how to have the materials to make PCBs. And we are getting the last tier of biocircuit.